When my phone rings late at night, I still feel a small jump in my chest. For one quiet second, my heart believes it might be him, my son. But the screen always stays the same. No new name. No missed call. Just silence, glowing back at me like a mirror. I sit there, holding the phone, feeling foolish. Because deep down, I know the truth. He will not call. Not now. Maybe not ever. I chose my career over my son. I did not shout it. I did not announce it proudly. I just did it slowly, quietly, one day at a time. At first, I told myself I was doing it for him. For his future. For security. For a better life. That is how it always starts, doesn't it? Now, years later, I visit him only in my memories. I remember his small hand wrapped around my finger. His laugh in the hallway. The way he used to wait by the door in the evenings. I remember all of that. But I do not remember the last time I truly sat with him. Without checking the time. Without thinking about work. Without rushing somewhere else. This is not a story about a bad parent. It is a story about a tired one. An ambitious one. A scared one. This is my story. And I tell it now, not to be forgiven, but so that someone else might pause and choose differently. I became a parent later than most. By the time my son was born, my career was already moving fast. I had worked for years to reach that place. Long hours. Missed weekends. Late nights that felt endless. When he arrived, tiny and quiet, something softened inside me. I remember holding him for the first time. His face was red and wrinkled. His eyes barely open. I whispered, "I will give you everything." At that time, I truly believed that meant success. Stability. Money. A strong name in the world. My partner stayed home more in those early years. I was grateful for that. Too grateful, maybe. In the mornings, I would leave before the sun was fully awake. He would still be sleeping. In the evenings, I often came home after dinner. Sometimes after bedtime. "He asked for you today," my partner would say gently. I would smile and reply, "I'll make it up to him this weekend." Weekends came and went. There was always something urgent. A meeting. A deadline. A chance that could not be missed. When my son started school, I noticed how quiet he became around me. Not cold. Just careful. He would tell me small things. About a drawing. About a friend. About a test. I listened. But my mind was often somewhere else. Emails waiting. Calls to return. Sometimes he would stop talking mid-sentence. I would look up and say, "Sorry, what were you saying?" He would shrug. "Nothing." That word still hurts me. Our house was nice. Clean. Well lit. But often quiet. Dinner together was rare. When we did sit at the table, my phone was nearby. Face down. But always close. I told myself I was being responsible. That this was what adults did. That love could wait. I did not see how time was slipping through my hands. As my career grew, so did the distance between us. Not in miles, but in moments. My son became a teenager almost without warning. His voice changed. His body grew taller. His door stayed closed more often. I noticed too late. One evening, I came home earlier than usual. I heard music coming from his room. I knocked softly. "Hey," I said. "Can I come in?" He paused the music. "Sure." I sat on the edge of his bed. Posters on the wall. Books on the desk. A life I had barely touched. "How was school?" I asked. He shrugged. "Fine." Silence filled the room. I searched for something meaningful to say. "I've been busy lately," I began. "But things will slow down soon." He nodded. Not angry. Just distant. That scared me more than anger ever could. Later that year, I missed his school event. He had told me about it weeks before. I even marked it in my calendar. But that day, a client emergency came up. I told myself I would explain later. When I came home, the house was quiet. He was in his room. "I looked for you," he said when I finally spoke to him. They saved a seat. I opened my mouth to explain, but he had already turned away. From that day on, he stopped expecting me. He stopped asking, stopped waiting. And I, foolishly, took that as relief. Years passed. College. Independence. Physical distance. We spoke less. Short calls. Polite words. I told myself this was normal. Children grow up. Parents let go. But something felt wrong. Heavy. Unfinished. The turning point came quietly. No shouting. No dramatic fight. Just a letter. I received it on an ordinary afternoon. Plain envelope. His handwriting. I sat at my desk, surrounded by screens and papers, and opened it. He wrote about his childhood, about waiting, about understanding too early. I know you loved me, he wrote, but I needed you. Each sentence felt like a gentle weight pressing on my chest. He did not accuse. He did not blame. He simply explained. At the end, he wrote, I am not angry. I am just tired. I stared at those words for a long time. That night, I went home and sat alone in the kitchen. The same table, the same chair. I thought of all the dinners I had missed, all the conversations that never happened. I realized something painful. Success had given me many things, but it had taken something I could never replace. I tried to call him. No answer. I left a message. Simple. Honest. I am sorry. Days passed. Weeks. Finally, he replied. Not with anger. Not with warmth. Just distance. We met once after that. A coffee shop. Neutral ground. He looked older. Stronger. But guarded. We talked politely. About work. About life. When I reached out to touch his hand, he did not pull away. But he did not hold it either. That was when I knew. Some gaps do not close fully. I began to change after that. Not because I expected forgiveness, but because I finally understood. I slowed down. I said no more often. I left meetings early. The world did not fall apart. My career survived. I learned to sit with silence, to reflect, to feel. I wrote letters to my son, not asking for anything, just sharing memories, apologies. Sometimes he replied. Sometimes he did not. I learned to accept that. I started volunteering, listening to other stories, other regrets. I realized I was not alone. One day, years later, he visited me. Unexpected. We sat together. No rush. No agenda. He told me about his life. I listened. Fully. At the end, he said softly, I see you trying. That was enough. Now, I still visit him often. Not always in person. Sometimes only in memories. I remember his small hand, his quiet patience, his strength. If you are listening to this and feel torn between work and love, pause. Success can wait. Moments cannot. I learned that too late. But maybe my story can arrive on time for someone else. Life does not ask us to be perfect. It asks us to be present. And presence, once lost, is the hardest thing to regain.